about 1870 or 1855.
Before.
It was done by Herschel. He started it.
NGC.
New General Catalog. He got tired of all these different catalogs showing up, Messier and all these other things, Bonner Dirchman or whatever it was, BD, and so he started his own. That really cleared up the field.
Well, was there a method to his madness of the numbering?
They're supposed to go in order of their right ascension, I think. And then as he got bigger scopes, he'd start over again.
Wow.
It goes up to about 8,500, I think.
I'm looking at Wikipedia. It said 7,850 objects.
Okay. That's about 8,000.
Actually, it says Astronomical Catalog of Deep Sky Objects compiled by John Lewis Emil Dreyer in 1888.
Okay.
And he published 2 supplements to the NGC in 1895 and 1908, known as the Index Catalogs, describing a further 5,386 objects. And so now they're known by their NGC or IC numbers, whatever. Oh, that's Index Catalogs. Oh, the second supplements, Index Catalogs.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
But I think Herschel started the NGC. Those guys may have published it, but
well, I don't know.
Maybe I'm wrong too. Sometimes my memory fails me.
Oh, you know what? It was compiled during the 1880s by Dreyer using observations from Herschel and his son John.
Okay.
So Herschel did the observations and Dreyer made the catalog somehow.
Okay.
Huh. Anybody else? No, nobody else joining us yet?
It's not so much the new general catalog anymore. They have, for example, the Caldwell catalog, Caldwell objects. And a whole bunch of other things.
Bob, Richard, and Mike Chibnick joining us.
Okay.
There you guys are. Dick Beam is coming in.
Good evening.
Bob, Mike.
Hi. Hey, everybody.
Dick Beam is joining us.
Mike, you should get the coma corrector tomorrow.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you very much.
Sure, you're welcome.
So Jerry, Mike, did you see that email I sent today about the Los Mande G8 to Gemini 2?
Yeah. I'm afraid I can't help that person. I know nothing about the Magellan systems, old or new. I read about it, and it makes a very detailed sky model, and the scope, the mounts I use from astrophysics do not require you compiling a sky model at each setting, so it's a lot less work, and so I just went that way. But I'd use the Los Mande G11 I had for a long time. I used it in a push-to mode.
Oh.
So.
Yeah, that's my mount is like the original year G11. It's got the Los Mande, and actually it's so old they used a different size friction disc on the mount. They used a smaller one actually. So yeah, it uses the old stepper motors controller. That's probably what you had, right, Jerry?
Yes. Yeah.
Richard.
So Dick, what's been going on?
Oh, I've been trying to shoot some 24mm stuff, and it's turning out to be a challenge. I tried stacking it in PixInsight, and it went into an endless loop. So I've had this happen to me before. Usually when that happens, you got to reduce the star count on the referencing. And because it just gets itself into this endless loop and it won't get out, especially when you have distortion correction. So my problem still comes back to the same deal. If I could share the screen here, let me see here.
What do you mean by shooting some 24 millimeter? That sounds like
24 millimeter lens.
Oh,
is what
okay.
I'm using for my astronomical instrument
Okay.
is what I'm doing. So here's the setup that I've got right now. Okay. And I'll tell you what I don't like about it. Well, for one thing, the camera is too close to the guide scope. Normally I have it up on top. So this is a 90-degree, I've got it over 90 degrees because I want to get both Leo and Virgo. And that's the only way that I could do it is to go 90 degrees like that. So I've got part of the guide scope in the field of view.
Oh.
That's one thing I don't like. Second thing I don't like is you got to lock this camera. Somehow you got to lock this guy in a cage and you've only got one nut to do that with, see? And the reason why you got to lock it is, think about it. You got a 24 millimeter lens that you're trying to transpose onto 35 millimeter format.
Yeah.
So you've got a fisheye lens effect. If you move that lens from side to side, you're going to get distortions from a point of view standpoint. So what I'm looking for is some way of locking that sucker in so that it won't do that. The rest of it's fine. I've got these standoffs in here. They work really great in terms of if this guy was on top of this guy instead of the 90-degree position that it's in, plenty of distance between that and the guide scope. The guide scope's on the bottom track of the vixen bar. There are two standoffs that I use right here. I think those are 4 inches. You can get longer ones if you want to go further. Sorry?
Can I make a suggestion?
Yeah,
for your setup. You were saying that the guide scope is being seen by the lens.
Right.
So the simplest thing to do is to somehow move that guide scope back. It looks like you have it in series. Okay.
It's in series. Yeah.
Okay. So maybe what you need to do is somehow reverse it and shift. There's a couple ways. One is taking the guide scope off the same side as the camera and put it on the other side of the of that plate. That would keep
like
the
over
same
here
balance.
on the weight side.
Well, you could put it on the dovetail itself, because you could always slide it in one way. Okay, and put a bracket to move it out of the way. That probably would be the simplest way for you to go and affect it. The other way is to swap positions of the camera and the
the guide scope. Yeah.
But the thing is that the guide scope would have to be offset because it's attached directly to the dovetail. So I think the simplest way is to put a whole second here. It's gonna, I think my simple way can't work because it'll be banging into the mount. So
yeah, well, the bigger problem here isn't so much that the guide scope is in the way, because I feel, I could go to a longer standoff. There's things I can do.
Well, your standoff may not be as rigid as you think it is. It's just
that thing is really rigid.
It is.
Let me tell you, I've been using this configuration for quite some time now, and it works very well. It works a heck of a lot better than the single screw that you're putting the camera into when you're taking all the other weight off.
Can you remove the dew shield on the guide scope? Just take it off and have because if that's what's sticking into your field of view, you could just take that off.
Oh yeah, you could do that. Yeah, I'm not sure you could get that thing off there or not. It's one of those Astromania jobs, that 60 millimeter guide scopes that they're pretty primitive. I'm not sure, but you know what? My bigger problem still comes down to that camera and keeping its orientation night to night. With a single screw, it just is not cutting it. I'm looking for something that's like a cage to put this camera in you know, like the GoPro setup. And I haven't found, and that cage has to have more than one screw for attachment. And that way I can keep this thing from doing this sort of stuff from night to night and causing that image distortion. That's part of the reason why it's hard to stack. And the other reason is the star count is so high for doing the referencing that it just gets lost.
Maybe what you need to do is don't attach it with a screw, but maybe what you need is another dovetail that's semi-permanently mounted on your camera.
Well, there is another dovetail in here, as you can see. There's a dovetail. This guy right here has another vixen mount here, and then that's dovetail bar right there. That's a vixen bar.
Then I would attach the bottom of the camera to that very sturdily, and I don't think you'll get any movement from night to night. You put it in there and still have the same mass.
Well, where I'm getting the movement is right where this nut attaches to the camera. That's where the movement.
Is that the bottom of the camera?
Yeah, see, that's my problem. Now, if you look at the bottom of these cameras, you'll see you got your 1/4-20 nut hole.
Right.
And then there's another hole that's not threaded. It's actually rubber. And what I'm thinking is, if you could get something that had like a little post that would fit up in that hole, and then the 1/4-20 deal, you'd almost have it. You know, if you put it on a vixen bar and you put a 1/4-20, let's say threaded it into a threaded part of that bar and stuck that in that hole, and then maybe threaded it in and then threaded it into the regular part of the camera body on the other part, that might work. I got to think about it. But that's my biggest problem right now, is that thing swinging around. Of course, we had all kinds of wind. And then the other thing too is the temperature changes, you know, the thing gets screwed up. So I couldn't get it. I think I got about maybe 34 frames, but I couldn't quite get the whole, you know, it just wouldn't quite work out. The other thing
so the bottom of your camera though is sitting flush on a flat surface, right?
Yeah. Okay. It's sitting on the surface of the, what do they call those guys? You know, it's like a little
fan head.
Well, no, it's kind of like a real rail slide. Okay, and you stick that on the camera. It's like a little plate, and then that slides into the rails of the tripod mount.
Is there rubber?
Yeah, it's like a little, and most of these tripods are like that these days. They've got like a little plate that comes off, and then you screw that in, you know, because you got to get to the screw, and then it slides into the rails on the tripod head, and then you tighten that thing down.
Sometimes a 1/4-20 screw, if it's tightened in all the way, it'll work against you if you can back it off just a little bit, and there's usually a nut underneath that you can tighten. And
yeah,
if there's a rubber interface, that should really.
Yeah, that's what I got. I got it's got a nice rubber on the camera. It's got a nice rubber interface, and I just have to sit there and tighten that thing down as tight as I can. But you still have the problem. If you were to take the camera off and then put it back on, the chances of that plate getting moved around are great.
There's your issue. You're constantly taking the camera on.
Well, no, I didn't do that this time.
Okay.
I didn't do that. Purposely, I did not do that because, yeah, you said there's the problem. Well, no, it's more involved in that because it's still swinging around there. I can get like the one axis, but the axis where it pivots around that screw, I can't get that tight enough.
Oh.
So it's pivoting. It's pivoting.
So in other words,
it's swinging around just like you're showing. Just exactly like you're showing, and that's my problem with the thing. And then, of course, if you're in the wind, you know, if you're in the wind, you got even more of a problem. So then the other thing that I wanted to point out is I got myself, I don't know if you guys have done this or not. Do you guys have any solar panels when you go out and shoot? Or when you power your mount? How do you just use a battery, or how do you do it?
I get to use AC now, but what I used to use, okay, and most people don't use, I went to Costco and got the largest deep cycle RV battery I could, which was like 110 to 130 amp hours. Okay, and put that in a cooler. And the thing weighed about 45 pounds or something like that.
It's
But
heavy.
that would power up my laptop and my telescope at least for 1 or 2 nights. Okay,
Mhm.
and that I never ran out of power using something
Huh.
like that. Oh,
Yeah, I do. I
except
do the
for
same
one time.
thing.
Except for one time when I've got this picture to show you. Okay, this is
Here, let me.
this is me and my Cookbook Camera. Okay, that sucker. That sucker used 60 watts, and I ran down the damn battery, futzing with it during the day. By the time nighttime came, it was done.
That
And
thing's a
then-
monster, man. That mount is huge.
Oh no, that's a low Mandy mount.
Oh,
That's a
okay. I guess I
D11.
can't see it very well, but yeah.
Well, it's not like he's sharing a screen there.
No,
Yeah.
no,
I
this is,
do a similar thing to Mike. I have 3 of those Costco batteries.
yeah,
I use one for the mount. I use
Yep.
one for the camera and rotator and stuff that I use on the mount and
Yeah.
focuser. And
Have
then
you guys,
I have one for the computer that runs that.
and what I did the last few times was I bought from my brother who got him on a good deal, 180 watt solar panel, and that only took a few hours to charge up, 180 watts.
so that's kind of what I did.
How many watts is that?
I got one of these panels. It's a suitcase solar panel. So
Yeah, I got one of those.
Okay. Yeah. All right. I was just wondering if I was the
It
only
folds
kid on-
open. As a matter of fact, it looks
Yeah.
like that's the one he's showing you there because it's
Yeah,
got
it's a
oh, that's
Rhenology.
your picture.
Yeah, it's like a Rhenology, I think is what they call it.
Yeah, that's right.
That's the one. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what
Uh-huh.
I just got that. I picked that up. And so that's
How many
worked
watts
out.
is that? How many
Sorry?
watts? How many watts is that rated for?
The panel is 100 watts. Is
Okay,
what they
that's
said.
decent.
And then I got a 100 ampere hour, one of those Mighty Might deep cycle lead acid batteries is what I got, and then an inverter. See, now what I do is I invert it, okay, and then I go into a DC power supply. And the reason for that is you have 2 levels of regulation. So if you go right in there with the battery, well, then you're going to have to deal with the changing battery voltage as the battery discharges. And I've had a lot of problems with that in guiding. So I've just given up on that. And I always go to AC and then go back to DC. It's worked great. Now, the other thing that I wanted to show you, we were talking about this last week. And one of the things that you guys were trying to do is you were taking one of my 24 millimeter shots and trying to find Mizar. And I wanted to say, the only thing I wanted to say is it's not small structure. Although you can find small structure on it, it's for large structure, and it's been processed in such a way to make that happen. Now, if you look at this, you can see the North American here. This is the Cygnus region. So this technique has been done. There you can see that Vega is all blown out, okay? You can see the North American, but you can also see that there are patches throughout this entire presentation here. There's little patches, okay? What's going on here is it's been processed for large structure mapping. So what I'm trying to do is, one, see what my camera can do with a wide swath of the sky, okay? See what my camera can pick up. And then I know from there, I go, well, gee, I got a big blotch of something over here. There's a big star cloud here. Let's go over here and let's take a look with the Redcat, let's say, or the NP127IS, whatever I want, and narrow it into that right there. That's one thing that I'm trying to do. And then the other thing that I'm trying to do is, let me see if I can bring it up here for you too, is if you look at this one here, this is the end result of where I'm going with this thing, okay? Everything is mapped, okay? You see North American, Cygnus Loop, Sadr region. These are all places that I've got shots, so I can kind of keep track of what I've got within the whole field of view. And I can also reference these constellation stars. The way that I do this is by making a mask that there's an operator called a binarize operator. So it's either on or off. And I can pick out the stars that I want to highlight or the regions that I want to highlight. And then I just blow those regions up a little bit more, stretch them a little bit more heavily. So that they come out, and that way I can get these constellation stars, because otherwise they just get lost. You can see that some of these stars, even, you know, I mean, even Deneb is not even really, you know, now you see the North American, but I mean, you know, they're really not even that big. This star here, for example, is hardly visible. So that's where I'm going at with this thing right here. That's kind of what I was heading at. So that's all I want to say.
Okay. Good work.
Yeah,
Thank you.
You certainly
Yeah,
go
very good.
deep there. So where are you imaging from again?
Sorry?
Are you in Arizona?
Oh, no, I'm in Paso Robles,
Oh,
California.
oh, okay.
The wine mecca.
Oh yeah, I got
Yeah.
relatives there. You got good skies. And if you're
Sort of. It's, you know, I'm next to an airport, and you got the searchlight, and you know what? I wouldn't even be surprised if they upgraded the thing, because I mean, I'm sitting out there and I can see it flashing off the trees, man. So I don't know, but you
Dick,
know,
what-
that's
what-
you have Lake San Antonio to go to, though. It's not far drive.
is that everybody talks about that place like it's great up there, huh?
Yeah.
Well, that was about 10 years ago, but
Good southern sky.
Southern sky.
I've been there more recently than 10 years ago. It's quite dark still.
And people go up there. Do they just go to the lake, or is there a certain place?
No, it's a paid campground, and
Yeah.
it's closed in the off season. But there's a group from San Jose that rents it or gets permission, and then gives us a discount rate to get in and camp for 4 days twice a year. And they call it the CalStar.
Oh, that's Cal
Car
Star.
party.
Okay, I
Yeah.
see. Yeah.
And there used to be one time I was there were about 300 people with scopes set up. Last time I was there, it was about 75 people. So it's been dwindling. The rates have gone up. I think it's about, I forget, the special rate for them is $35 a night, and you stay 4 nights or even a 5th night.
you can rent buildings there.
Yeah. Air-conditioned buildings.
That's right.
Hmm.
Sleep during the day.
Yeah.
Be up at night.
That's neat.
But what's
Otherwise,
nice is there's an overflow area, which is away from lights and away from other campers usually.
Yeah, and that's the area we move into. Plus, also right next to it is a campground with utilities for RVs, and it's totally empty when we go there. It's off season, so you can just hook up your batteries anywhere with a charger and charge them back up. You don't need solar power for that particular site.
So Dick, is your airport, is that where the Estrella Warbird Museum is as
Yep.
well?
Sure is. Yep. Have you been there?
Yeah, for car show, yeah.
Oh yeah, they got cars there now. Yeah, that's right.
I have a relative that had bought some land for growing grapes, but never did, up at the end of Niblet Road.
Oh yeah.
In the
Yeah.
hills.
Oh. Yeah, you know, that's interesting that you pointed that out, because I got a friend that has some land up there in that same area that you're talking about. But they haven't opened it up yet. There's no roads or anything in the area. So, yeah. You know, I have half a notion to just go up one of these canyons. Like there's Lowe's Canyons, one of the ones that I know of, and just go, there's no fencing on the side of the road. It's just a gravel road. You go up there, it seems like I could just go up there and I'd be in the boondocks, man, and there wouldn't be any
You
problem.
could, you just got to make sure that the boondock owner isn't.
Yeah, well, there are no
anti being there.
fences and there are no trespassing signs. So
Okay.
if it's not posted, I think legally you're okay. So,
I have no idea.
yeah.
So tonight, Bob, Richard wanted to show us some of his planetary nebula shots. Do you guys want to see that?
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
All
Sure.
right. Bob, you
Okay.
wanna take- yeah.
Yeah. You hear me okay?
Yes.
Very
Okay.
good.
Okay, I'm hoping that I'm not going to freeze here. I am in another location in our apartment, which is really better. Actually, I have a new computer, which is much faster than one I'm here having now. I'm going to put Zoom on it, and I'm hoping that that will really take care of the problem with the freezing up. So we'll see. Yeah, the planetary nebulas are really interesting, as you know. They're fascinating, and they are small, but usually bright. So when you photograph them, I always use the longest focal length I can use on the telescope, which is usually f10. And I don't use Barlow. I've not used a Barlow with them. And I haven't yet tried to use the planetary video camera, but I want to try that at some point. I want to try to get a video of them and then stack images and see what I can come up with. I think I'd get more detail. So anyway, there are several different telescopes involved here and several different cameras. So I'll just go through these. I got about 10 to look at. And then if you got any questions as we go along, I just fire along.
Okay.
So let me see if I can, oh, Jerry, did you have a question or?
No.
Oh, okay.
I just said, okay, and then sniffled.
Okay.
Right.
Allergy season.
It is, no kidding. Okay, I'm gonna see if I can start out here. Okay, you see this?
Yeah.
M27, okay. Of course, this is an old friend for us, right?
Yeah.
This was the first thing I ever imaged with my C11 that Bruce has now. And I had this is back in about 2001, and I had an Olympus camera with a built-in, actually had a built-in telephoto lens, and I was fiddling around and I was enthralled that I got an image of something like this. I said, this is really neat. That's where I got hooked. I really got hooked into astrophotography. Just by
Well, you've got very nice round stars.
Yeah, well, now this particular image, this was taken with my present scope, the C11 F10, that F10, and this was taken in September of 2019, and this is using the Horizon camera, and it's a total exposure of 30 minutes. So,
Bob, can I ask you a question real quick?
Sure.
Bob, do you use an auto guider camera as well?
No auto guide. It's not necessary. Don't need any auto guided camera. What happens is that the stacking algorithms in the camera compensate if they're that. So obviously, if there are major shifts, it can't do that. But with my iOptron mounting, it's pretty accurate in tracking. So I rarely have problem with, a bad image developing because of tracking problems or the stars don't align. So this is a total of 258 7-second images. Now, the reason they're so short and this, so you have to readjust your thinking from using a DSLR. You have to rethink it. And the reason they're so short is that the camera has built-in evaluation of image quality. And so if the image quality is not good, and you as a user can set the level of image quality, it will throw out an image. In other words, it won't be stacked. The longer you take, the longer your exposure is, the more likely, due to the atmospheric condition, the image will be degraded. So what you do is you take very, very short exposures and a whole bunch of them, and then it stacks these short exposures. The individual exposures then are very sharp, and it stacks them. And so you end up with this. Now, this is a full frame. This is a full frame image. So you can see there's no distortion to the end. And this is the result of the field flattener that's built into the C11 edge. I'm really happy with that. I can use the entire frame of the camera and there's no distortion. If you see, here, I can pull up a little bit. But if you go out the edge, you can see, you know, everything stays quite round.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So that is really a nice feature, you know, of the telescope. Its biggest disadvantage is if you want to get a focal reducer, you can't buy one commercially. You have to get it from Celestron, and they're big and they're heavy and they're expensive. So if I want to go to like an f7 and 0.5 for an 11-inch scope, it's a heavy rascal, and I guess probably weighs a pound. And also, I think it's like $600, $700. It's very expensive because you can't put a standard flattener on there, a standard focal reducer, because it won't work with the optics of the telescope. So that's a disadvantage. But the advantage is that in pictures like this, where you have pretty high resolution, you know, it's flat. It's just flat out. So you can see if in this particular image, you can see a lot of detail within the nebula itself. And this is, I don't know which one of these is a central star. It's one of those.
There.
This, which, the big one?
Yeah,
Or
the
this
big one.
The big one, okay. So anyway, that's an old friend to start out with here. And
Bob?
yeah.
Looking at the whole image, it seems like there's a kind of a dark blue haze on the left side and then a lighter green haze on the right side of the image. Is that just the way the nebula is out that direction?
Which, whereabouts? Tell me again.
So just on to the left of the dumbbell, it looks kind of like there's a dark blue or violet haze. And then to the right of the nebula, it seems like a lighter, almost yellowish haze on the right side. I'm just curious.
You're talking about over here and here?
No, way out.
Oh, way out.
Yeah.
That could be some spurious light coming in. You know, we have a lot of light pollution. This was taken from Scottsdale, and you know, it's Bortle 8. So it's very possible that that's an artifact that's gotten in there. Yeah, I don't see it. I mean, I'm not aware of that. You know, what you're seeing there.
And Bob, another question, just curious, if you had a Dobsonian and you put that Atik Horizon camera on it and you did 2-second exposures, could you keep pushing along, or would it be just too inaccurate for it to do any stacking?
My assumption is that if it didn't go very long, the camera could probably compensate. But depending on how long the focal length, you have a long focal length where you have, you know, high resolution, everything's magnified. So all the movements are magnified. So it probably wouldn't take too long before the camera would not be able to compensate because of the rotation of the field. So
Can you actually adjust the recording speed too, or do you just, is it just a matter of exposure length?
it's exposure length.
Okay.
Is what
Okay.
it is. Yeah. I'd be very interested in talking with someone that has a Dob that uses a camera and see how it works. But it's really designed for an equatorial mounting so that you can track it over a period of time. Like I said, this is a 30-minute total exposure. And so over 30 minutes, it would not be able to, you know, adjust to the offsets caused by the field rotation and an out-azimuth mounting. So anyway, it'd be interesting to see if someone, you know, tried that out.
Bob, to Dick's question
Okay,
about Bob.
this guy, this is the little dumbbell.
Oh,
I
this is
don't
a
know
little
how many of you have observed this. This is relatively faint. Are some of you familiar with the little dumbbell? See, and so this is 45-minute exposure against with 11-inch at f10, the edge, and it's interesting that if you pull this
Close
in,
the door if you don't want to hear me.
if you pull this in, you'll see there is the central star, and then there is, you'll see all this kind of haze around it, which is actually part of the nebula
Oh, yeah.
that's surrounded. You can see that faintly around there.
Huh?
But he's small. He's pretty small and faint. Okay.
Are these full frame images on that system, on that Horizon system, or have you cropped them down, or how?
This is cropped. Yeah, this
Okay.
one is cropped. The first one I showed you, N.7, is full. And there's
Okay.
some others that are full, but a lot of them I've cropped because they're so small. You know, the planetary nebula are so small. Okay, well, you know about this guy.
Oh, yeah. Little Eskimo.
This is the Eskimo or clown nebula. This is the best image
Cute.
I've ever gotten of this. Now, this was taken with the 9.25-inch Celestron scope. I had a 9 to 9.25-inch scope, same size as Chuck's, for a while when we were coming to our vacation home here. That's what I used. And so this one is actually, looks like it's 10-minute.
A lot of detail in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Love
so
it.
this is these are 6-second exposures. There are 100 of them. So it's for a total of 10 minutes. So, but if you pull this up, you can see a lot of detail.
That's unreal.
Yeah. So now this was it's hard. I can't. Part of my. Hold on a minute. Let me see. Doesn't. Yeah. This was. Okay. This, I believe this was taken with the Infinity camera, not the Horizon. The Infinity is doesn't have quite as good resolution, but this came out really well. This is taken at f10 again, and this is cropped. You know, this is the original view of it is very small, so it's cropped and blown up and sharpened. So it's post-processing, but you've just ended up with a lot of great detail on it.
So Bob, I thought the Infinity was a type of software that Atik used.
Yeah, there's confusing here, Tom, because there's the Infinity camera that they first came out, video camera. And then the software they developed for stacking is called Infinity software. So when they developed the new camera, the Horizon, they designed it to work with the Infinity software. So it gets confusing because sometimes when I say Infinity, I'm talking about the software, right? This is the Infinity camera with Infinity software. And it all works the same. The Infinity camera is just, it's less expensive. It's a very good entry-level camera for this type of thing. And uses basically the same interface on your computer that the Horizon. Horizon has more choices and options because of the CMOS camera. This is a CCD camera. The Infinity camera is.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so here we have another old friend. And
Oh, yeah.
N57. This is again with the 9¼ inch scope. And this is cropped. This is F10, 138 second exposures. But this, these, by the way, all these I've been showing you have been shot from Arizona, not Santa Barbara, where they're coming out. But if you look here, the detail, this is the best photo I ever got of the Ring Nebula. I mean, look at the detail.
And is that the central star?
Yeah.
Yes, the central star. This is central star, and then this is
Another.
That's right.
But look at the detail.
Yeah, it's very nice.
Yeah.
That
The central star is 14th magnitude.
if you really blow it up, you see a lot of detail in the ring.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
that's
you
the best
You can
image I
see
ever.
the double ring too, yeah. And that's usually pretty hard to see, the double ring part.
Right. Now, I've not been able to get, there's a further material out here. I haven't been able to get that, but
Mhm.
that's the best, one of the best images I ever got of. the Ring
So
Nebula.
Bob, what do you
Yeah.
think if you went even longer than if you doubled the amount of exposures, would the image be that much better?
Okay, that's a good question. I've done a lot of experimenting with this, trying to get an answer to that question. It's what I find him up against here is the light pollution. I've never taken this camera into the field with really dark skies, or either the Atik cameras. They've always been used in heavily light polluted areas. So what happens is, if you keep exposing on and on, pretty soon the signal to noise ratio in terms of the background light, you get to the point where there are diminishing returns. You don't really see that much more because the background light begins to overpower the light from the object you're looking at. Or at least it doesn't improve. So I have learned that there are certain parameters that once I have approached those, I don't just sit there and keep going and going because it doesn't improve that much.
That's an interesting fact.
Yeah, it's not the only one that believes that too. I've read, from what I have read of various people, you get diminishing returns, at least with median stacking. You get diminishing returns when you start to get up into the 30s of samples. I usually go for 36 samples as kind of a general goal, and I usually, sometimes I fall short, sometimes I go over that, sometimes way over it.
I'm familiar with what Bob was talking about. with the term sky fog limit. And so people that have dark skies, they can tell you what exposure will reach their dark sky limit. And I once talked with Tony Hallis about this, and I asked him where he lives up in Forest Hill in the Western Sierras. I asked him what his background sky fog limit was, and he said there is none. So he has, in his opinion, he has very, very dark skies.
Has anybody been to Grandview Campground?
Where is it?
Grandview Campground is it's in California, and it's near the California-Nevada border.
Yes, I have.
No, I haven't.
Okay. You know, because I know, but the last time I checked, and I haven't checked recently, but last year it was closed because of COVID. And I've been wanting to get up there for a long time and just see what I could shoot, you know?
We went up about the year after they had that major fire through there. So that's okay. That's about 8 years ago or something like that. But it was very, very dark. And you could see a little bit of light pollution from Las Vegas. And there's a bunch of people that go to SEMA Dome, especially from the Las Vegas club. But I mean, we saw Mega Centauri there really well.
Yeah, and then I've heard Great Basin is the other one. Great Basin State Park in Nevada, which is on the eastern side.
There's
on the
White
border.
Mountain also.
Yeah, there's a mountain. I think that's the mountain up there. Yeah.
Well, no, that's on 395.
Oh, okay. There's a mountain up there in that Great Basin Park, which is where they go. And they say that's the best place in the whole state of Nevada.
Well, they're great sites around. If any of you decide to use one of these cameras and take it into dark sky area, I'd be really interested to see what your results are. I mean, I think they'd probably be fantastic, if it does this well. And of course, I have also experimented with filters with the camera. And the filters are really tricky because the camera, it's a color camera. It has sort of some built-in corrections as it processes. So when you put a filter on, you sometimes can get weird colors and stuff. So, but on the other hand, in certain situations, it really helps. So I'm experimenting with it as I go along. And it's just kind of fun to see, what it can do.
Do you prefer the color cameras over the black and white?
Yeah, I do. I'm lazy. I don't want to.
Yeah, me
I don't want to mess with the color wheel.
Yeah.
So I mean, you can get most of what you want, I think, with a color camera. I mean, I understand guys that use want to do the separate colors. I mean, my hat's off to them. It takes a lot more effort, a lot more time, but to get some really great stuff. Okay, now we're back in Santa Barbara. This one, of course, this is M1, and this was taken with a DSLR. This was taken with a.
Really?
Yeah. This
got
is
a very dark background for DSLR. I mean,
yeah. This one was taken from my backyard there in Santa Barbara, and this is the best image I have of the Crab Nebula. I have an image used with the 9¼ scope. I don't have one from here in Arizona with 11". That's one of my goals. I want to get the observatory going finally here.
Now, from what it says up here, you've got 5, 4, 3 minute, 30-second exposures. So did you do a composition here where you layered these guys one on top of another, or am I reading this?
No, I used Deep Sky Stacker. I forget which program I used to stack them.
But they are various exposures, right?
And you're right. It's 5, 5, 4, no, 5 is the number of this. It's 4 3-minute,
Oh,
4 3-minute, 30-second exposures. So I have
oh, 3 minutes and 30 seconds.
30 seconds, yeah,
Gotcha.
yeah.
Okay.
Or 3.5 minutes.
Okay.
I have 4 of those, which were stacked, aligned, and then I processed them. And this is the way that I use this approach for years with a DSLR. This was with the let's see, this was with the Rebel. This is the T2, I think it was a 2TI. And I use that camera for a lot of my work. And that was a really good camera. And I didn't keep adding and improving on the cameras because this one works so well. Anyway, you can see, I'll bring up here, it's interesting that really right in the heart,
Oh,
you can see the double star. And one of these is the
Full
this,
floor.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's the spinning, it gives it
Uh-huh.
the
Yeah.
light. But you can see the 2 images there. It actually see the 2 stars. Yeah.
Wow. That is
And you
sick.
have a lot of structure.
Yeah.
Here, you can see a lot of the structure. So this is one I want to photograph again from here. I want to see what I can do with that.
Well, I really never understood why they call it the crab.
Yeah, it doesn't. Well, it doesn't show up too well here, but there's sort of like pinchers coming out here. I've tried to look and say, I'm like you.
the crab name was given to it very early on, I think, by Herschel.
Yeah,
Everyone else.
it was.
They did it purely through visual observation.
Yeah,
It was
Yeah.
Lord Ross in Ireland.
Lord Ross. Yeah.
yeah. It was given very, very early on, right? So
I should know better not to cite history before Chuck has spoken.
Chuck knows. He knows. Okay.
Is Grandview Campground on the way to the ancient bristlecone pine forest out of Lone Pine?
Yeah, the White Mountains.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's where that Grand View is.
Yeah, I've
You go
been
down
there.
the road,
Yeah.
the bristlecone pine places. That's where that forest is. Yeah.
So this is the Owl Nebula, and this is a relatively faint. And again, this was taken with a DSLR. This was taken from Santa Barbara. And you got, you see the central star really clearly. And of course, it's obvious shape of the owl. It came out really well. And again, this is a highly cropped because they're very small. I mean, even at f10, they're really small.
So your label says 1x filtered. So did you use a light pollution filter on this one, or?
No, that just is my. There was a program that I was using to even out the light in the background, and that was just a note to myself that I went through that program one time. To get rid of any uneven lighting. So, it's been quite a while since I've done that. I can't remember the name of the program now. But the thing is that what's interesting is that I got very good results with this. The amount of time it took to get this and process it is probably 2 or 3 times what it now takes me. And I get very close to similar results. So you say, well, so how do you want to use your time? You want to go look at more objects and photograph more objects, or do you want to spend time, refining and going? It's all a matter of taste. It's all personal preference. But I find it more interesting to be able to look at more objects and photograph more objects and mess with them on the computer and bring out what I can than spending a long time on just a few objects. But it's like it's all personal preference, you know, what you want to do. Okay, this is a shot from here. This is using the C11 here. This is the blue snowball, and some of you know this, but I'll share this. I think some of you probably do not. There's a very interesting backstory to this. Very bright planetary. And in this particular picture, this was taken, this is 137 at 0.5 seconds. So very, very fast exposure. Here you can begin to see the internal stuff within it. But these next two pictures I'll show you shows a lot more, and I got them with a DSLR. The original name of this nebula was Copeland's blue snowball. And it was named by Leland Copeland, who ran Copeland's bookstore in Santa Barbara.
Oh,
I don't know how many of you remember Copeland's bookstore. It was right next
Oh,
to
yeah.
the museum. Okay, Leland Copeland was very instrumental in getting me going in astronomy. And in fact, he helped us start a little club, astronomy club for guys. You know, we were like in high school, junior high and high school. And he was probably the best known, one of the best known amateur observers on the West Coast back in the 50s.
Is that the same people that had the sporting goods store?
Don't know.
Copeland? That's a different
That was
deal.
on the corner of Victoria and State.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Well, where the art museum store is now, if you walk in there, that's where Copeland's bookstore used to be.
Oh, okay.
Right there. Yeah, that's where it was. And when I knew him, he was probably in his 60s, late 60s, probably into his early 70s. And it was about that time I was in high school and I was getting interested in photographing the moon. And what was so funny is that when I'd go in there and tell him about my excitement about photographing the moon, because I had this 6-inch reflector that I'd made and I'm taking pictures of the moon. He says, "Oh, I don't know about this photography stuff. You want to look at pictures? There's lots of books. Go look in the books and you can see pictures." He was not a fan of doing astrophotography. And so it was really funny. He kind of was discouraging me on that, but I persevered, as you can see anyway. But very interesting guy, and I owe him a lot in terms of his encouraging me in astronomy. Okay, so now here, this is interesting. This is taken again in Santa Barbara, and we've got the 8's just the number of the slide. We have 8 4-second exposures aligned and stacked. And this begins to show the internal structure of the blue snowball, which is not easy to see. My pictures actually in Santa Barbara show more of the internal structure than I have been able to get with the scope here. And so here you can see the central star. See, this really shows a lot. I kept processing this. So I came up with this internal structure and the central star.
Looks like a C-clamp.
Yeah, it does. Yeah,
Somebody's
exactly
ear.
so. Yeah, yeah,
Like a little mass accretion disk or something.
yeah.
Well, I hate to find a guide star.
Very impressive.
Yeah.
So that, yeah, so you can see some structure here, you know. I just kept fiddling and processing and working with the images I got, and I was able to pull that out. And finally, this is the Cat's Eye Nebula.
Cat's eye, yeah.
Yeah. So this was taken with a 9¼ inch scope here in Arizona. You can see a little more detail of the central star. And I'll just finish off with something that has nothing to do with planetary nebula at all. It just happens to be my favorite open star cluster. And I just wanted to show that. This is M37. And does anybody know where M37 is? Have any of you seen it? It's obscure. You know, Chuck?
Is it on Orion?
It's behind M35. If you photograph M35 in the distance, you will see this kind of faint grouping of stars.
But that's
And
NGC
so-
I thought that was
2158.
2158, isn't it?
Oh, maybe you're right. Maybe this is, maybe you're correct. I may have got the wrong one here. I thought that was the one. I had.
37.
Yeah. No, I think you're right. So my apologies. Yeah, I have a picture of that, but this is not it. So anyway, I love all the colors in here. And,
Yeah, it's pretty.
and you can see,
Yellows and blues.
yeah, a lot of, and this was taken with the Horizon camera. It's
Yeah.
Atik Horizon. And this is a full frame. It's a full frame at f10. Yeah. Anyway.
This is a good time for me to ask you this question. I hear a lot of you talking about full frame. What is that?
Yeah, that's pretty confusing because you could mean full frame, could mean 35 millimeter, it could be APC. But I think what we're trying to refer to is try to distinguish whether the image has been cropped versus is
Right.
it just the full
Oh,
frame
okay.
of whatever format it is.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Dick is
Because I-
correct. That's what I refer to. This means.
Okay. Because I've heard of 35 millimeter is being referred to as full frame.
Yeah.
It
I'd
was like-
say in general, full frame to me would mean that you didn't crop it.
Right.
Now,
Yeah.
Dick, you had something that you were telling people with the NP 127.
Yeah.
The older version that you couldn't get, there was vignetting, you couldn't get a full frame.
Yeah, you can go full frame APC. You can't go you can't go 35 millimeter because of the problem there is the fourth grouping is 2 inches. Okay, so when you start to expand the sensor size on the back end of this thing, and you'll still have 2 inches here, then when you come down from 5 inches to 2 inches, you're going to get, that 2 inches is going to be in the optical path. So you're going to get diffraction around the edges of that 2 inch element. That's why when they went to the IS version, they have a 3 inch.
Oh.
The fourth element on the NP 127 IS is 3 inches, not 2.
Oh.
And the focuser is 2.4 inches, not 2 inches. So as long as you stay with an APC size sensor, you're fine on the old scope. It's just when you try to go to a 35 millimeter or larger sensor, not only do you need, even on the IS version, you need to have the large field corrector for that. So as well, to go 35 millimeter all the way up to 51 millimeters is what they say on the IS version. That's the sole reason.
And the field corrector that really lowers the
large field corrector. I'm not sure exactly what it does, but what they're recommending that one to be used on 35 millimeter to 51 millimeter size sensors. If you use an APC size sensors, you don't need to do that. So what I've done is I just put that large field corrector on the back of the scope and I just leave it on there. basically, because that's the
And
way
that changes the focal ratio, correct?
Well, I don't know if it changes the focal. I think the focal ratio stays the same. I'm not exactly sure what that dang thing does. I really don't know why. I'm guessing that maybe they need to correct it because the scope was originally designed and configured for human eye type of viewing, which is 22 millimeters. So I'm guessing that corrector must correct something besides just this vignetting problem that they were getting. The guy told me the vignetting, the Teleview guy told me that the vignetting on the edges of the IP-127 for 35 millimeter camera is about 90%. Now, I personally, from the flats that I got, I didn't observe that sort of thing, but I did observe what I call diffraction vignetting. And that's the biggest problem. If you look online, you can see all kinds of pictures like this, see? Because people have been trying to take 35 millimeter cameras and adapt them to optical systems that were never designed to have those kinds of sensors put on. See, my point here is if I had to roll it back and do it all over again, I might not have gone with a 35 millimeter sensor. I personally think APC is maybe a better way to go. And the reason why, well, here's one. And the second reason is what's driving the technology are these cell phones. And the cell phones are not going to have 35 millimeter size sensors in it. They're going to have APC size sensors. So there's your technology leading edge. That's what's driving this whole thing and going from CCDs to CMOS, you know? So you configure that if you stay with APC size sensors, I think you're in a real safe zone and you probably should stay there.
Now, if you were gonna use that NP-127 with the 35 millimeter, if you're gonna crop, doesn't that take care of it anyway?
You still have diffraction vignetting because see, you got a star. Your star is hitting the edge of that optics. Okay, and what's happening is in the halo, what you'll get is you're getting notches on either side of that, which is kind of the radial pattern. You're getting one edge, and then you're getting the opposite edge here, and it's taking a chunk out of that halo. All right, and it's radial. So as you go around the optical train, that pattern is going to change depending on where you are to the center line of the optics. Okay.
So that's where your APC is better. Okay.
Yeah, that's the problem. So if you were, let's say, for example, with me, my primary purpose in getting that scope, there's two purposes. Guide scope for the C14, it's about 600 millimeters is where you want to be. It's about 660. Okay, that's the one thing. And as a primary photography instrument, primarily for mosaics. So if you had halo issues like that, you're screwed. You can't do it. You can't put it together. So that's the issue.
You'd be interested in mosaic, though.
Sorry. Oh yeah. Well, it would look weird. I can do mosaicing with a Newtonian or an astrograph, as you've seen. You saw the one I did of M31, did you? Yeah. The 2-panel. So, and it came out great. But I can imagine on that with that NP-127IS, man, it is going to be something else. I'm thinking about doing. I've done the Antares region with the Redcat, and it came out beautiful. I could probably show you a picture of it. But what I want to do is a 4-panel mosaic of the same region with the NP-127IS and see what.
Now Hank had a what was it called? He had an interesting astrograph that he was using. Like, what was that? I think it was the.
Yeah, he's got his is 12. I think what is it? 12 and a half inch. I think.
It was small. It's like 5 or 6 inch.
Oh, you're talking about something else. I'm talking about the one he's got now.
No.
Hey, guys, I pulled up this image that I meant to show you, the star cluster behind M35. Do you want to take a quick look at it?
Sure.
Surely.
And, okay,
I think that's 2158, isn't it, Chuck?
that's right.
Oh, there you go. That's pretty.
Yeah, okay. Let me get this down here. Yeah, this was taken with the C11.
Uh-huh. Lots of yellow stars.
Okay, we'll pull it in here a little bit. Now this is using the term full frame, okay? It's occupies the entire frame.
Uncropped.
Yeah, uncropped.
Uncropped.
Yeah.
That's probably a
uncropped.
better
Okay.
term. Yeah.
Yeah, so there you go. Yeah, yeah, I think that's a
Oh, that's nice.
gorgeous star cluster.
Really,
Mhm.
really,
Very pretty.
Yeah,
very, very pretty.
yeah, it's great. Okay, so anyway,
It's something like 8 times further than the M35 away.
yeah,
Something like,
it's quite a bit further. Yeah.
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 So Bob, thank you very much for those 11 great images. Pretty amazing.
Neat stuff.
Okay.
you guys do cool stuff, man. It's just like going to a planetarium show every Tuesday.
I do have a question. Since everybody's using median for their stacking, is that what they're using to deal with the light pollution? Or is there a better way of stacking them algebraically to reduce the the effects of light pollution?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, exposed to the right, and there's a number of articles that you don't expose so much to the right that saturate anything in the picture, but you want to basically have the light pollution be fairly pronounced in your picture. And then in post-processing, you get rid of it. So then you can suppress that and get what you're trying to do is photons. So if you expose to the right, which is longer exposure, in other words, the histogram goes to the right, then you get more photons on the thing that you want. And you can deal with the background later, Photoshop or one of the other processing tools.
But it seems to me that these gentlemen have had a very good results with less than 10-second exposures, just about all of them, with the exception of 1 or 2 images.
Well, it depends what your ISO is.
We're talking about
It depends what your ISO is.
Oh, ISO, okay.
Well, no, I mean, like on
I
my
understand
camera, go
what
out
you
to ISO 0.62 million.
Yeah.
It is really, really easy pictures. But if I shoot it ISO 600, ISO 25, I'm sorry, ISO 12, whatever it is, 25, 600, I very good images, and I can get rid of the background noise simply by stacking.
So that's Antares right there with the
Yep.
with the Redcat.
That's very nice.
Thank you. Yeah,
I gotta get a glass of water. I'll be right back.
I would
Where-
like to
this-
do the same shot with the NP127, do a 4-panel.
Yeah,
It's such a beautiful. I'm sorry.
what object is, where's this?
Antares. That's Antares right there.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
Scorpius. Yeah.
Oh,
and,
that's great. That's a good
Oh, it's
picture.
just so pretty there. I mean, you got just a little bit of every color that you can imagine. There's anything from far infrared to near. And then you got globular clusters. There's a couple of globs on there. And then there's a nice blue reflection nebula there.
Mhm.
It's just a gorgeous place.
So what type
So-
of exposures were you using for this?
This is the Redcat is 7-minute subs, and I think I'm probably somewhere in the 30s or 40s of the subs right there at ISO 800, 7-minute exposures. But it just is so pretty. That region right there is one of my favorite regions of all.
Yeah, that's a beautiful photograph.
Yeah, it is so pretty.
Whoa.
Whoops, did I should have put it back on there?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was looking at these papers and I turned around and
Oh,
whoa,
yeah.
that-
Yeah, that's it there. Yeah. Yeah, it's so
Holy cow.
pretty. You got so much, you know, there's so much going on here. And I love how the stars there's like a yellow and gold stars on this blue nebula. When I saw it, so that one right there is probably wait another month and I can maybe get that with the NP127IS, a 4-panel.
Mhm.
That'll be it for the lunar cycle. That's probably going to be it for me right there. I'll be done at that point.
Oh, Dick, what do you
Yes, sir.
mean by 4-panel?
Oh, what I would do is I would position the scope for 4 different images,
That all overlap.
and they have to overlap. You have to have at least 20% overlap to do mosaicing. So I'll probably try to shoot for, let's say, at least 30% of overlap.
Mhm.
I had about maybe 30 to 40% when I did M31, but that's just the 2-panel mosaic. Although it was range compressed, so that makes it even more difficult because you got to go 6, 3, 1, and 30-second exposures layered on top of one another for each image set that you do. So that makes it a lot of work. To do a 4-panel mosaic, it would take 2 lunar cycles. You need an observatory. Yeah, that's where I'm heading. Yeah.
So Dick, that image was made with the Redcat?
That's the Redcat. Yeah.
Mhm.
If I had to do it all over again, I mean, if it's starting out in this whole thing, I think I'd had the 24 millimeter and then I would have had that Redcat. That Redcat is just such a forgiving instrument at 250 millimeter focal length. It's beautifully designed, front focusing. It's like a telephoto lens, but it has the lens. It has the telescope type support that a lens doesn't have. So,
Well, it gets some great wide field views.
it's
I think I told you it was reviewed very favorably in Sky and Telescope magazine a couple months ago.
I love that thing. I just fell in love, and that's what got me on getting the Teleview NP127IS because it's Pittsburgh too, and so I just loved it.
Yeah, you got me interested. I looked at that article as well.
Yeah,
It's quite a little. It's not that far fetched a price for somebody interested in doing.
no, it really isn't, and it's a very useful instrument in terms of mapping the sky. I've done so much stuff with that thing. I mean, you know, you can go and you can get regions that will. It just blows my mind what you can get with this thing.
And this is from Paso Robles, right?
Yeah, everything you see here, I haven't gone anywhere else. I'm kind of like a guy that just, you know, sticks around. Well, that's why I can shoot so much, because I like tonight, I'll probably go out here as soon as we're done. And I got the 10-inch astrograph on there now, but I'll show you another one here that's done with the astrograph that it's just really neat stuff. Let's see here. I'm thinking that's it there. I'm not sure if that's it or not. Oh, huh. That's not the whole thing here. Here we go. This is it here. Yeah. Okay. Now we got to go back over here and share screen. Here we go. Sure. Okay, that one there, as you probably know what that is. Can you guess what that is?
I'm not seeing it right now. Is that
right there? Can you see that? You see that guy right
It's the
there?
Crescent and
There's
Nebula.
the Crescent Nebula up there.
That'll
Crescent.
tell you right where it's
really?
at. That's Sadr.
Mm.
That's Sadr right there. So there's the crescent over there. So you can see that
Yeah.
whole region right there.
Right.
And that, you know,
There's the
that
crescent.
Wolf-Rayet structure. So it's just beautiful. I love the instrument quite a bit. You can do some very, very nice stuff with it. The star color is real good.
That's amazing, because you know, Van Gogh's ears, it's big, but it's not that big.
Yeah, it's really pretty. You could take something like, let's see, the North American nebula is close. I gotta go to another place for it though. Choose stacked. No, not that stacked.
Dick, I think you need to make a Flickr photo album of all your images at some point.
Well, I do. I've got a book. I have a book that I've been doing all this stuff with. But now let me see. What was I saying? North American?
Yeah.
Okay, so North American nebula. Here we go.
Yeah, there it is.
North American. There's Deneb right there. Now this one is a case in point where I had stars that were blanked out over here. And that's another problem that you
nice.
can get into when you get into wider angle shots, like I was telling you with the 24 millimeters. You can get into these situations where there are so many stars. Not only that, you get edge distortions or something like that, and the stars just go blank. When I process it, I do a step called deconvolution, which is a kind of a reversing effects of optics and atmosphere. And it was able to pull the stars out then. But if you put in distortion correction in PixInsight, it will also get rid of that problem too as well. Or you can reduce the star count.
Is that the one they call the Pelican Nebula? It looks
Yeah,
like
the Pelican's right next to it.
Yeah.
Man, that looks like a pelican too.
Yeah, here's his little head and his eyeball. That's a Pelican.
It could also be a pterodactyl.
There
A
you go.
pterodactyl, yeah.
Yeah, a little squashed up pterodactyl. There.
That's cool.
So what scope was this taken with?
This is taken, these are all Redcat shots, yeah.
Redcat.
Yeah,
Okay.
they're all Redcat shots.
Yeah.
I kind of
Yeah,
went
that's
nuts
great.
on that particular area with the Redcat, but you can go to other areas and get some other stuff. Let me see if I can pull up something else that I've got here.
And which camera are you using with this?
This is all 6D MK2. Yeah.
Do Cygnus loop. Is that the veil?
Yeah, here's the loop with
yeah.
with the Redcat right here.
Oh, interesting.
So yeah, so you got Eastern and Western Veil and Pickering's Triangle all
Yeah,
there.
that's nice.
So
You know, with the NP-127, you can just get that whole structure in one field of view.
no
with
kidding.
horizons.
Oh, that'd be pretty.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, there's something to go for.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But that's and so my whole idea of this was, to kind of go, to go from large structures to smaller structures. Now let's see if I've got it in here. Like I don't know if I've got that in here or not. Eastern Veil. Here we go. That's Eastern Veil.
Uh-huh.
That's with the astrograph, 10-inch astrograph right there.
Wow.
Beautiful detail on that thing. I tell you, this stuff is so pretty. Sometimes I feel like I just don't even have a right to shoot.
Yeah.
It's just so pretty.
Yeah.
Anyway,
That's a 10-inch astrograph.
that's a 10-inch, yeah. So
Yeah,
it's a 1,000
yeah.
millimeter focal length, 30
Yeah.
inch focal length, yeah.
Damn.
And what length of exposures are you using for this?
All those are 6 minutes. I'm a real retard when it comes to exposures. I just kind of set up these values and just from experience, and so I do everything at the same recording speed, ISO 800. My astrograph is 6 minutes. The Redcat 7 minutes. The NP-127IS, I think. Oh no, wait a minute. The Redcat's Redcat's 8 minutes. The NP-127IS 7.
The 480 millimeter, the ED80, that one is 10 minutes. I think that ranges everything that I do right now. Now the C14 at F11, I'm thinking 20 minutes per exposure.
I guess I got a lot more light pollution because the red hump gets all the way to the right on much more than about 5 or 6 minutes.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm using a moon and sky glow filter too on everything, except I can't use it on the NP127IS. And that makes me mad because the Canon EOS adapter on the inside of that thing, it's about 51 millimeters. Okay, so you should be able to freaking put one of those filters in there. And it's not even the right thread size. And I'm going, guys, where are you supposed to put the filter in the optical frame? So I don't know. I haven't figured that one out yet. So everything that I've done, that one that you guys saw, Macarian's chain, that was done without filter. So.
Okay. Very good.
Good work. Good work, Dave.
Thank you. Yeah.
Good stuff, guys.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to probably
Well,
bail here pretty soon too, because I got to get out there and start
Yeah.
shooting.
When I do photography with my camera and want to use a filter, on the nose piece of the T adapter, it's threaded, and the 2-inch filters just fit right on there.
Yeah, that's what
They
I
don't go
thought
on the other-
too. And it doesn't do that. It's not even the right thread size. It's almost
Oh, I see.
exactly the same diameter, but it doesn't fit.
I ran into that
Strange.
experience too. I had to get a brand new one running my 0.63 focal reducer.
Antares.
I've noticed one thing. I've been trying to use my L Pro filter, and I've noticed that it really cuts down on the light pollution, but it does some strange things to some of the galaxies that I take. I don't know if you noticed that, any of you guys with that filter.
I'm going to have to leave. I just wanted to
Yeah,
let you guys know that Westminster Village is now formally going to go after the 10-foot observatory.
Whoa,
That's what we're going to do.
outstanding.
So I just
That's
talked to the
cool.
I just talked with the CEO today, and so all the arrangements and everything froze up.
That's
Good.
cool.
You really need a 10.
I froze up. I'm sorry. Anyway, I talked to the CEO, and so we're on for it. So we
Good
gotta
news.
get going. Yeah,
Excellent.
yeah.
So the 8-inch observatory next, whatever it was, that one you just had a deposit, you've got that back?
Yeah, we're in the process of we didn't make a deposit. They don't require a deposit. They're supposed to just take money upon delivery. But they took our money on a credit card. So we've got to get our money back. I don't think there'll be a problem with that because they advertise right on the front of their website that no deposit required and money is only due at the time of delivery. They should never have charged the Westminster card, which they did. So hopefully we're not going to have a problem with that. But anyway, the administration here says we go for the 10-foot. So we'll work it out. And I think they're a reputable company. I don't think they're going to try to give us a problem.
Well, they couldn't deliver.
Yeah, well, they
couldn't deliver.
There's nothing was delivered. I mean, they said we don't know when we can deliver. Basically, they just.
How long did you have it on order?
Oh, we were actually on order not very long, probably a couple months maybe.
Oh, okay. Because shoot,
Yeah.
I've had mine on the order for since January 22nd.
Yeah.
I'm still
Well,
out there.
It's been fun for me tonight. I'm gonna have to check out.
Yeah, I gotta go.
Yeah.
See you guys
Yeah.
all
I
later.
got,
Okay,
Dan.
yeah, great to see everybody. We'll
Bye.
Yeah.
week. Okay. Bye-bye.
Thanks,
Bye
everyone.
now.
Good night. Thanks,
Bye.
Bob. Great job.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
By the way, Tom, I put up a background, but it doesn't show up. It's black. It's the
Yeah.
Star Trek. I had it with the light overhead, but then I got a big reflection off of it.
Yeah, it's
So-
difficult.
At least you don't see the stuff up on top of my bookcase now.
Yeah, you actually, maybe if you put light in a different direction on that poster, it might show up or something.
You like
almo-
that?
It almost, yeah, it's upside down. What? Let's see.
Oh, it is upside down because I put the Star Trek at the bottom. So you didn't see the big spaceship.
See, that's where you're supposed to take
Yeah,
a
it is.
photo of that.
Say
Take a
again?
photo of that and use that as a virtual background using Zoom. But I don't know if on your tablet if the Zoom can do a virtual background. Probably not.
I don't know. I have to look into that. I don't know if it can or not.
I think you could sign into Zoom and play with that.
Yeah, I'll do that. My
All right.
copious spare time. All right. Good night.
Good night. Hank, see you later.
Mhm.
See ya.